we have our family podcast, Big Sam and Nephews. I'm Big Sam. My nephew is Javier. He's in Atlanta. My other good buddy on the panel is Nathan. Nathan, you're going down to Tracy?
What's up, guys?
What's going on? Are you heading down to see Frankie?
Yeah, I'm in Tracy now. About 10 minutes from his house. That's if I don't stop at Starbucks to get a. I've got coffee, but if I might want to have a banana nut, no decaf. I'm off the caffeine, man, for 6 months. Yeah,
Whoa.
Yeah.
Well, no good caffeine. For you.
Yeah. Right. So he might make the second. He might make the second segment.
Sounds good. All right, we're gonna rock and roll. Big Sam and Nephews is sponsored by My Guy Market at 504 East Belmont Avenue in the wonderful city of Fresno, California, where I live. And also, they got the best sandwiches in the San Joaquin Valley. I live in the San Joaquin Valley. They also have the Checkmate sandwiches, beef Texas short rib sandwich. And also, I want to thank Floyd Sanchez. He's the owner of My Guy Market. And also, you cannot leave out Eddie the cook. Eddie, we're praying for you. You hope you get back very, very soon. Also, Big Sam and Nephews is also sponsored by Social Sports Fresno. Tongue twister. I'm going to slow down.
Fresno Social Sports, where adults come to play one game at a time.
Got your back.
Okay, and they basically just do a lot of adult games. Like right now, they're doing kickball, and the owner of that Fresno. So you can go to FresnoSocialSports.com to look up for more information about Fresno Social Sports, and the owner of that business is Eric DeYoung. I see Eric pretty much every night at the ball field. So anyway, let's get going. We were talking about. Go ahead and tell them what we were talking. Tell the audience what we were talking about.
So we were talking about America. We all know about Lane Kiffin and changing over to and going to LSU. All the big money. Nobody knew the reason why. You know what I'm saying? His back reason why he was leaving the Ole Miss Rebels program. So, kind of left him high and dry, yada, yada, yada. People are upset. He went on to say a little bit more in depth a couple of days ago, maybe a week ago, and was talking about why he felt uncomfortable with the Ole Miss Rebels and how hard it is to recruit young black men and just recruit people to come down there and come and play sports or come there and go to school, because he said, and I've seen this with my own eyes, it's still a good old boys network. We still have Confederate flags. The mascot is a rebel for the Confederacy. So all of that all rings true. And then you want a young black man or person of color, not even men, women too, or people of color to come down there and make your university great in scholastics and sports. And that's hard for him to do. And he just basically couldn't hold his tongue anymore. He couldn't hold his tongue with the boosters. He couldn't hold his tongue anymore. So he came out and it was like, look, I'm leaving. And here goes the reason why. He did. I don't know if that's what he told Ole Miss, but looking back at it, it's like, good for you, Lane Kiffin. Like, somebody needs to stand up and, talk about the wrong that goes on these college campuses and what these kids and their kids. I wouldn't send my kid down there for 4 years or 3 years in Mississippi. That don't even sound right. Like, and your name is the Rebels? Nah, man, I'm good. I'm cool. But think about, but that's one of those things. It's like, and it's not to the kids of the program. It's to the school where everybody else is changing, where it's like, hey, look, we can't keep on highlighting the Confederacy, slavery, and what they've done to America, and then making it like it's a good thing for the old Dixie. Old Dixie for black people was death and betrayal, and just and basically lynchings. You know what I'm saying? And it's a lot of things that go with that. So, and I'm not even from the South, and I feel it. So that's one of those things. It's
But you live in the South, though.
Yeah, but I live in Atlanta.
Okay, and that's no different,
Man,
really.
we ain't got none of that around here, player. You throw up that Confederate flag, see what happened.
Yeah, I think it is different, Sam. I think it is different. I've been to Atlanta once or twice, maybe, but I mean, in a city like that, that has forced progression, it is, if for no other reason than demographic sort of presence and diversity. Okay, and also cities tend to be more sort of progressive thinking because of all the different personality types and the economies. Now, there was I think her first name was Robin. To your point, Javier, she's a sportscaster, long time. I mean, 20 years. She's been, I don't know if she's with ESPN or, but she's one of the one of the big networks.
Probably Robin Roberts.
She was a basketball player.
Probably.
I think Rob Roberts. Yeah, I think
it was
that's
Robin
her.
Roberts.
And I remember her giving an interview about when she was, a star high school athlete and was trying to decide on a school. She liked Ole Miss. I mean, she liked the experience, or well, she liked. I forgot exactly what she. But she liked lots of things about it. It was, on par in many ways with some other schools where she ended up going, for instance. But when she was explaining why she did not go to Ole Miss, was very much to your point. She said, she just could not get on board with the rebel flag and proud of and excited by the rebel flag and atmosphere that, again, to many people like her and like me, is, I mean, it's kind of like, yeah, the South represented secession and represented continuance of slavery, one of America's two greatest crimes. And that's what this flag represents. And I'm from the South, so I represent it, or it represents me too. It's a little bit cavalier and dismissive of what other people might be feeling. So I think you made a fantastic point, Javier.
Yeah, I think it really, and I'm not saying that Ole Miss is not a great school. Um, I mean they call it the Ole Miss, and I mean you have University of Mississippi and then Mississippi State, right? You don't call Mississippi State, another Ole Miss, right? So we should just call it University of Mississippi.
They're Bulldogs, by the way.
Yeah, but so I think a lot of these things now, and especially in today's climate, where they are, it kind of goes back into how the political scene is redirecting race and race relations in the 2000s, in the 2020s, where now we're looking at, where people, I see that kids want to protest and say, hey, look, I don't want to go to any SEC schools because, we're gutting the Voting Rights Act. That plays a big thing, and the only thing that, like Uncle said, can hold children is that NIL money, right? So what do we do with the NIL money? Should they go to West Coast schools? Should they go to schools that, and I'm not saying these schools practice racism. I'm definitely not saying that. I don't know. I have no idea. I mean, it's probably, it's ingrained in racism is ingrained in the society, which is slowly
Correct.
coming out. But
that is true.
But I'm not saying the school is definitely promoting they're treating I'm not saying that Ole Miss is treating the black kids bad. So I'm not saying that. I'm not saying the staff or, he didn't say none of that. None of that was being said. But now you look at the climate and it's like, hey, look, how do we come together either to, because the NIL money is the NIL money. And so if you're a top tier Debansa, right, who goes to BYU, you're going to get $5 million a year to go play basketball. Are you Caleb Williams, who's going to get, X amount of millions to play basketball?
You are kidding me.
Yeah, he gets $5 million.
That much?
Yeah. So then you start looking.
But like the money.
Go ahead.
Javier, the money, they're not going to walk away from the money. they're looking at these
No, I
guys
agree with you,
to
Sam.
stay at the SEC schools, and now
I agree with you.
some of the lower level kids that are not going to make that kind of money, they're probably going to be the ones that are going to, and we don't even know.
You know, I think in the end, money wins out. It would take a sort of a universal or majority sort of conscious decision and response. So if one guy said, you know, even the number one recruit said, you know what, I'm not going to an SEC school because typically speaking, the SEC states are the ones that are trying to, you know, eliminate black.
They got the voting.
Yeah,
Eliminate black.
they're redoing the map.
Yeah, they got the voting system.
Yeah. But see, even if one guy did it, but the next three said, I'm taking the money. And I know a little bit about human nature, you know, and if one guy, the main guy, does it, and then the next two or three or 4 or 5 out of the top 10, so I'm taking the money. Right. It's going to be a strike that it'll be difficult to maintain it, you know, because I mean, if the number one guy goes to a different school, like you mentioned the coming out here to the West, which is generally, and forgive me, America, this, you know, I'm just stating what I see as fact. Historically, has been, you know, in many ways the most progressive thinking region of the country, right? So if the kids say, "Well, I'm not going to that old school stuff," you know, with those old harmful traditions. I'm going out west where it's, you know, liberal and what's a hot word now, and free and forward thinking.
Well, the other thing, Nathan, you got 4 schools out here. You got 4 schools out here to choose from: SC, UCLA, Stanford, and Cal.
Well, I know
but see, that's just California. But West, I mean, Washington State, Oregon, those are progressive states.
I understand that.
See,
I understand that.
I really.
But my point. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, I think I want to know the psyche of kids that go to SEC schools, and what do they feel? You know, do they feel the?
Well, you got to remember, you know, these kids are no different than any kids out here out west,
right,
or up east, or out north. They're no different. If they're going to give out the NIL money, trust me, with the parents behind these kids are going to have to put their foots down and say, look, we are not going to let you go to an SEC school.
Right.
Well, you know what? I'm going to challenge that just a little bit, because
you're being the devil's advocate, aren't you?
Yep.
Well, you know what? No. See, that's like deliberately being contradictory. And I'm a teacher. I'm a school teacher, right? And okay, number one, do your 17 and 18-year-olds spend 10 minutes throughout the course of the year discussing with their 17 and 18-year-old buddies political goings on, who they're going to vote for? No, they don't, right? Number two, well, girls get paid now too, and as they should. You're talking about your 16, 17, 18-year-old boys. You know, I mean, they're thinking about, maybe what degree I'm going to get, but they're thinking about where to play ball, who has a good gym, who draws a good crowd, who's on TV a lot, and where the girls are. Okay. So for parents to say you are not going to that school, I mean, look, I don't want to put myself on blast, but
put yourself on blast, Nathan. Come on, have some guts, man.
Oh, that's what you think is best, Dad? Yeah, okay, appreciate it. Then I would have signed where I wanted to. Okay,
right.
So I you know, that's tall order. When you ask a person, let's talk about our great country of America. You ask America in this raging market economy to take 2 million instead of 5 million. Come on, you know, come on. That's a tall order.
The other point, Nathan, you know what? You're asking them to go to a HBCU school.
I think that would be fantastic. but the HBCU is going to have to come up with some money.
That's where
That's my point.
That's where we're gonna fail at as a community, is because hey, look, well we have three things that would have to happen. You got to upgrade the facilities.
Right.
So you're talking about
money.
Yeah, you got to have some donor money, right? You got to upgrade the sports facilities. You got to upgrade your scholastic academic facility also. That is the biggest. I think that's the biggest key that we need to upgrade to get some of the better student athletes to go to these schools, is because we don't have,
because your facilities are not as such. Man, SEC schools are they're like the pros, man.
Yeah, but
the pros.
But what we're missing was two things that you're missing from the HBCUs is that you don't have TV money. And you don't have, so they can do all they want because they get billions of dollars a year in TV revenue, right?
Right.
HBCUs, you have the MEAC, you have and these are just D1s. These are just D1s. I think it's like 4 D1 for HBCUs that play in. They don't have the TV deals like that. So it's okay. So they have an influx of money that they get. And that TV deal money is how they do everything, the football, all of that. So, we would, I say we as a collective would have to have, hey, look, everybody has to donate $100. You know what I'm saying? From society.
Another quick question for you. What about South Carolina and Don Staley? They're in the SEC.
Yep. And I think for her.
What about her, Sam?
Here's my question: do you not go to the South Carolina now, decommit and go to an HBCU school and forget about South Carolina?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, and you're talking about a coach that advocates for everybody. You're talking about a coach that is blackety black. You know what I'm saying? That advocates for her players, that advocates for the programs, that advocates for all the athletes, no matter what, and for equality. So it's hard, and I think that she's there because you're the right person to break those walls down, especially break the walls down of what she's done. Going forward, because you took down all the old guard. Think about that.
Here's my other question too. If a player or players, we'll say that, if these players, if they're willing to sit out, boycott these games, you think that's going to help? The administration is going to, athletic directors, they're all going to be calling for these kids' heads, man.
Yeah, but the heads.
I didn't understand that question, Sam.
Okay. Say, for instance, these athletes, they sit out because of the climate of politics right now, right?
Like athletes that are on a team sit out and say, "I'm not going to play."
If they sit out and they boycott, is that going to really do any justice at all? Are they going to be able to do it?
That's good. That's a good question. That's a good question. Wow. That's
more of a rhetorical question too, though, because we already know.
So you think it's not realistic? Not going to happen?
Well, because again, they get as a kid, so they get the cheddar.
Yeah, they get some money. They get some
money. The kids get what?
The cheddar.
The cheddar. The cheddar. Yeah, I mean,
they're not going to. And again, I throw how much time are we looking at?
We are at. We need a break right now, Uncle.
Yeah.
Okay.
We need a commercial.
I'm at Frankie's, so he'll be on segment 2.
We need a commercial.
All right, we're gonna pause and come back to this.
All right,
Big Sam Nephews pausing.
Back.
Awesome.
We have myself, Big Sam, Javier, Franklin, and Nate Marlowe working again. We were talking about the SEC sports and should. And I think these kids should boycott. They really got to do something. They have to do something to let the people, the powers that be, know that you can't throw any amount of money to me and at me, and I'm going to be like a dog and jump on it. But that's what's happening now.
Let's be objective though, Sam. Let's be objective, right? Not only is there human psychology involved, you asking somebody to walk away from 5 million and take 1 million instead, or 2 million, or heck, I don't care, 4.9 million,
and
right?
I'll tell you another problem, Big Sam, is you're talking about young people that don't have enough life experience to know relative value.
Right.
That's a good point.
They haven't had a job to know, is this going to pay my rent? Is this going to buy me a home?
And I see what I was going to say, that we want to stay objective, and we're talking about athletes. So would you say that garbage men and police officers and lawyers and, heck, housewives for that matter, should they boycott whatever they have the ability to boycott and say, well, I'm a cop, I'm not going to work because you tried to, think about it. So I don't think that we should hold athletes, regardless of age, to a different standard than we would hold ourselves to as regular Americans.
Very good point. I'm throwing out rhetorical questions.
Okay.
Not solutions, just questions. I'm just throwing them out there. But again, you're absolutely 100% right. Probably you can't ask those kids to walk away from that 4 million, 1 million, even $1 million. But that's the problem. It's kind of like they got them by the kahunas.
Facts.
Espanol.
But they have a lot of people by the kahunas. The money talks. This is the reason why.
Absolutely.
These are the reason
Even
why
if you don't have a plan for it, somebody has a plan for it somewhere.
And this is the reason why they are able to get the judges, get the Supreme Court judges to vote this down. And now you see how it is in every single state is, hey, look, we could redraw the maps and so basically you're only going to have like 3 representatives of color in Congress now, and then everybody else is going to be, in the white majority because they have so many other. That's a number I'm just throwing out. Yeah, that's a number I'm just throwing out. I don't know it all the way.
Let me throw this really quick question at you. Okay, you live in one of the southern states, right? And can you go into another district to vote for anybody?
No,
you have to vote you can vote in more than one place, but you have to vote in your you
have to vote in your assigned polling section. So the way it is here, say you have Raphael Warnock, right? Who is the black senator, who was the first black senator from Georgia in 250 years. Make sense. But anywho, his district, they're cutting up his district right now. So they're cutting up his district. So his district won because his district was mostly Cobb County and like some rural parts of Cobb all the way through DeKalb and some other parts, right? I have to look at it again. But they're going to redraw his district because he won. Because, hey, man, we can't. So the gerrymandering is really the whole key.
It's in full effect.
Yeah. Now it's like, it's not even suppressing votes. It's not even, see, we're not even talking about voter suppression because really that's not what it is. It's really remapping the whole districts. And then how are you going to win? Because, one side of the city is for blacks and the other side of the city is for whites, right? Or for somebody else. And then you split those blacks and you split the black and brown vote up. We know who the white people gonna vote. You see what I'm saying? So it's a plan behind it. I'm not talking about but I'm just like, how do our politicians in these states, because it's not on a national level. How do our politicians in these states allow this to happen and allow? So that's the biggest. And then how do you fight that? How do you fight these things? I mean, you can't say it's unconstitutional, because guess what? These fools that went on ahead and made it constitutional.
Right. And Congress is just, well, here's the deal. And I guess I am going to get into politics, because it's so, the judicial system is so crooked and dirty.
You know what?
They need people with integrity.
For sure.
Right.
That understand there's supposed to be boundaries.
Right.
And,
do
any of these people, do they have the integrity? No.
No. They're supposed to do their job and get out. You're supposed to go serve and get out, not be a lifelong politician.
I would say this. I think the game is rigged in a way. It's rigged to the point that if you don't toe the line, we're going to make sure that you won't win. You won't get the support that you need to win. Right.
Right.
Now they say that just as a sort of a running, maybe this may have changed, but there was a point where, like, I don't know, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, that 75% of the Senate, and probably includes the House, but the mantra was 75% of the Senate has JDs, law degrees, right? So these are relatively brainy people that, I mean, lawyers aren't considered tremendously creative, but I mean, you're well trained enough and probably smart enough, from the go, that you do have the ability to think on your feet. So how is it possible, or how likely is it then that all of one side tends to vote one way and all of the other side tends to vote one way? It's because they're supporting their party, and because they need to stay in office.
Right.
And therein lies part of the problem.
And the money.
Because, well, you need money. You need money to win,
I mean, they spend all the time campaigning. So you get in Congress, you work a couple of days, then you got to go on the campaign trail, right? Because you only last there for 2 years, right? So every 2 years but you spend a year campaigning to get reelected. You're not working. Yeah. You're not working. You're not working for the people. And it doesn't matter if you're white, black, Hispanic, Palestinian, Jew. You're not working for us. Point blank. And it's evident. It's evident that you are not working for us. You are working for self-interest of whoever, right?
Politics, the number one job is to get reelected.
It's to get reelected.
The mayor of New York done an excellent job so far.
Yep.
Excellent job.
Him and the mayor from Chicago, I give big kudos to, because they are really, really doing some good things, in society. We could, people always say, oh, they're doing it just for the people of color. Well, you know what? When you do things for the people of color, man, everybody else flourishes, no matter what.
You know what? That's an old sort of diversion tactic, I think, because sadly, in certain parts of the country, sometimes the majority, if somebody can market a bill or an idea without saying those words, but that would hurt people of color, that will influence some people to feel like, well, if it hurts them, it's going to help me, kind of thing,
Right.
And I don't think that necessarily people think of themselves as racist or something like that, but that's just the narrative that they've been fed. That's been, I won't say they, but I'll say that that's the narrative that has been sort of, circled down, or it's come down the waterfall for a long time. And, it sort of keeps, I think a lot of times people are categorized in our, we live our lives according to how much money we have, how much money we make, how much money we don't have, whatever, right? So I think that the battle it should be more based on money, based on economical than on race or things like that.
True.
And so if common man, if Joe Average, right? I know a guy named Joe that used to hate that term, But if Joe and Jane six pack, let's say, if regardless of race, regardless of religion, creed, all that kind of stuff, right, began to think monolithically, that's when, and vote monolithically based on, okay, what's the right way, what's going to do the best for people in my sort of wage category, average man, average woman. I think that's
got that, Nathan. But you're asking for a lot to a little, because you know good and well, a lot of these people are not. These people don't even. They want to just, But I'm thinking that if the black voters go out in these southern states and go out and really show off, and show out and get out in numbers, that is part that's going to be help to alleviate part of the problem.
I think that's the reason why they want to redraw everything, Uncle. You think about it. Oklahoma, Virginia, Texas. Look, Texas. Well, Georgia. Look at all these states that have flipped from traditionally or predominantly Republican, and now we have Virginia. You have a Democratic governor now, right? And that was because of the black vote. In Oklahoma, you have more and more people that are inside. The grassroots are inside the groundworks of the political process, mayors and things like that. And these are because of, the black vote, the Hispanic vote, all these votes coming together and really aligning and really saying, hey, look, you have our best interest at the grassroots level. And now we need that vote to say, you know what, we really need a representative, no matter black, white, Asian, whatever, that really has the interest of the farmers, that has the interest of the common people. And we don't have that. That is across the board. And we are to the point where it's like, you know what? Well, Trump said this, and this is what's gold. Well, Bush said this, or Obama said this, and this is, we're blindly getting led by these people. And it doesn't, I don't care who it is. You are leading us in a bad way. You know what I'm saying? On a national level, in a bad way.
Yeah. Well, Sam, both good points, guys. Sam, you said something a minute ago about getting the vote out. And I don't know what it's going to take. I have no answer. But typically, I mean, when you think about it, something like less than 50% of the population votes, or right at 50% or something, like in the national elections. And it should be like 90% in all elections, right? National, state, local, whatever, right?
But excuse me, Nathan,
there's a sense of apathy when it comes to that.
When Obama was running, what's the record number of black people voted?
Yeah, that was a big number.
Right. And that's my point. They got to treat this like it's.
I think it's a two-pronged problem too, though, where we have the votes and I don't think it's lack of people not wanting to vote. I think it's people wanting to vote, but they can't get off because it's on a Tuesday. I need my job. It doesn't matter who you are. I can't get there to vote. That's why they introduce early voting, things like that, right? So you can kind of plan your vote around that, which is a good thing. But then, most people don't do early. I do early voting. I'll go vote early. As soon as that thing opens up, I'm there. Let me get this thing out the way because, you know what I'm saying? So I think that's a big thing. I think the numbers will.
But see, the polls are open from 7 to 7.
Right.
And most people work 8 hours.
Yep.
Right. So to me, they can get there.
Well, let's think about lower income.
America,
right.
If you live in rural America, right?
Yep.
You're gonna have to come in and get in and vote. 7 to 7, right? And you have a hard time getting in from rural America to vote.
There might be somebody that doesn't have a car or something like that.
Correct.
Yeah. But I think you know, I think most people have cars. Most people live close enough to the polls they can get there.
Well,
you know, there's 12 hours to do it.
Well,
if you work for 8.
If you think about this though, too, and we're talking about the Black community, and I'll talk about the Black and Hispanic community just flat out in Atlanta, right? You have people that ride the bus from wherever to wherever, so their polling stations is over here, right? So that's 2.5 hours because they don't work where their polling is. So I think that's a big problem where it's hard to kind of get that vote in, because hey, we're on the bus, we're in traffic, you know, we have to go to work in the morning, and then
mail in back.
Yeah, so I think it just, like, I think you said this too, though. I think there needs to be a national holiday for a voting holiday. Hey man, everybody take off.
You know, Congress is never gonna.
Yeah,
Congress is doing everything to not.
But we see why.
And the Black voters.
That's the reason why. If you do that, if they did that, then hey man, everything will change. And so that's the part where, and like I say, I don't think it's the Black vote. Even the white voters have a problem, right? Especially in rural America.
That's why I said, even in rural America,
you have
where a lot of Caucasian people live at, they have a hard time getting in to go vote.
Yeah, their voting turnout is not as high as it would be in the city.
Right, correct.
And so those are the things where in the city, you know, Atlanta is 4 million people of color, right? You know, or some ridiculous number, you know, talking about Metro Atlanta, right? So then you start breaking those down, and it's like, okay, how do we, you know, Savannah, you know, how do we start breaking these down, and how do we get these numbers out? And I'm not just saying that, you know, Blacks need to go back, Hispanic, you know, everybody needs to go vote, man. If you want a voice in this, go vote for your local stuff. That's where I hang my hat on. I hang my hat on the local government first and foremost, and then to go do your research, man. So that's my spiel. That's my soapbox.
There you go.
I was looking for time.
We got about 2 minutes.
I'm gonna wrap it up. The great conversation today, folks. I want to thank Javier. I want to thank Nathan. I want to thank Franklin. Javier's in Atlanta. Nathan is in Sacramento, but he's in Tracy, California now with Franklin. And I'm in Fresno, California. This is Big Sam and Nephews. I want to thank you all. Big Sam and Nephews is sponsored by My Guy Market at 504 East Belmont Avenue here in Fresno, California, where they have the best sandwiches in San Joaquin Valley. Also, Big Sam and Nephews, the owner of My Guy Market, is Floyd Sanchez. Big ups to you, Floyd. Hopefully, I'll probably see you next week.
Yep.
Week after next. At the baseball game. Also, I want to thank Eddie. Eddie, I'm praying for you, Eddie, that you are recovering and you'll be back cooking for My Guy Market. Also, Big Sam Nephews, also sponsored by Fresno Social Sports, where adults come to play and connect and have fun, and they can build a community one game at a time. Basically, Fresno Social Sports is a conglomeration of different games for adults. Right now, they've got adult kickball, and they've got pickleball and whatnot. And the owner of Fresno Social Sports is Eric Young. Big ups to Eric. I'll be back on next Sunday. We'll be back on again.
All right.
Okay. So thank everybody. God bless you all, and you all have a very profitable, happy, wonderful week coming up. All right. Goodbye.
Peace.
I'd like to end and say that I like Javier's idea about the national holiday for voting, and I think that's something we should get behind.
Yeah, that's a big thing. I think we need that.
That is workable and doable.
Yep. Make it happen, Congress people.
Everybody can get behind that.
Yep. Give me a day off. Give me a reason. All right. Later, guys.
All right, guys.